Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the brand new Tier 7, I say brand new, it's really not, but brand new Tier 7 Russian cruiser, the Hampshire in disguise. I mean the elephant. So, with that being said, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The commander, Andrew the Lip. We've got Francesco Membelli and Nikolai Kuznetsov on there. I know there's some funny things you can do with this commander if you guys really want to go into it. I ain't about that life. There are people out there nickel and diamond things. I don't want to play this cruiser any more than I have to. And it's not the cruiser's fault. The cruiser's fantastic, but I am not playing this ship as a solo player anymore. It is absolutely abysmal to play this ship with a bunch of dum-dums all around you. It's not fun. But you'll see that in the video. Trust. But, yeah. The Born Ready skill, maximum subsequent AP damage to the same target after each cruiser AP shell hit, is up to 15% if you max this commander out. Okay? We don't have him maxed out. But, bonus, each hit applies to subsequent AP damage. Now, it does say subsequent AP damage to the same target after each cruiser AP shell hit. So does that mean, I mean, normally it would, but generally speaking, that would mean that each hit has to be sequential, right? Like you have one. If you shoot another target or if you don't hit the target, it should reset. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't done the testing. But let's just put it this way. You can get some funny things out of this, right? And this is a base trait, meaning this trait is now available for literally every cruiser in the game. Stalingrad, Alaska, the French super cruisers. Do I need to say any more? The American cruisers. These are going to make some interesting engagements. But anyway, we're running Piercer. We're running Punch Through because this is an AP only ship, so you want to be focusing on armor piercing. Intuitive, because you get that opportunity to point in the direction of the nearest ship, which is handy. It also increases your sonar and radar duration, but you don't have radar on this ship because reasons. And then Hit Them Hard is the special trait. Cruiser gun traverse speed is increased, so that's good. And cruiser damage while observation seaplane is active. Yes, not catapult fighter, observation seaplane, meaning this thing gets even more accurate while you have your spotter plane active. So there's that. But it's not just that. You also get more damage, up to 15% more damage while your spotter plane is active, which is kind of funny. And then you also get an extra seaplane charge. So there's that. If you run that with fully packed, which you probably should, because this thing has no health. So you're going to need to take advantage of the slightly better heal and just hope you don't get hit a whole lot. But don't sleep on this ship, folks. I'm telling you, especially you dumb battleship captains out there. Not that I'm saying that any of you are dumb, but there are plenty of them out there. We all know who they are, and I'm going to showcase some in the upcoming battle. But anyway, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I can already hear it. But seriously, just because I say something is dumb doesn't mean that I'm calling the person dumb. I'm just saying that in the moment they play dumb, okay? That is allowed. You are allowed to criticize somebody's gameplay in the moment. I do a lot of dumb stuff. You do a lot of dumb stuff. Everybody does a lot of dumb stuff. But when you do dumb stuff and you get caught on video doing it, it's a little bit funnier, and I'm going to call it out. It's just the way it is. Not hating the person, just calling out the mistake that they make in the moment. Fair? Alright. Aiming Systems Mod 1. Steering Gears Mod 2. Because this is a Hampshire in disguise, it is a British-built ship, therefore it does not get access to Propulsion Mod, meaning you get steering gears. Because Propulsion Mod is essentially built into the ships. If you didn't know that, now you do. Then you've got the Concealment System Mod for a little bit better concealment. And in the final slot, we have Main Battery Mod 3. So for every 30,000 damage, this is the Epic module. So every 30,000 damage, we get a little bit faster reload time. Now, it does hurt our traverse speed a little bit, but this thing has some perks that help counteract that anyway, so it's really not that big a deal. Now, let's get into the loadout, shall we? So we obviously have our sonar, which is what I would recommend, because the AA on this thing isn't particularly good. So going with defensive AA seems like a terrible waste when you have sonar. And then, of course, observation seaplane to trigger the gimmick. You don't have anything else that can come here. The heal is a slightly better than average heal, but it's not amazing. It's only going to get you like an extra 1,000 hit points over the regular heal for cruisers. So keep that in mind. It's slightly better. It is not a super heal, but it's like an improved heal for cruisers. But yeah, anyway, with that being said, we are running the Epic Battle Booster to get a little bit extra range because this ship doesn't have a lot of range. And the reason for that is trying to hit anything at like beyond 17 kilometers is a pain in the neck if it can actually dodge. But yeah, one of the things that I would maybe recommend on this would be to swap one of your perks for Von Essen to get that penetration angles. This is a heavy cruiser. It doesn't necessarily need it as much as, say, the British light cruisers that are AP only, but there are definitely moments, and I'll showcase some of them later, where I think if I had used Von Essen for improved pin angles, that I would have been able to change the outcome of the battle that you guys are going to see. But that being said, we are running the Italian Unity flag, because if you squint just right, kind of looks like a Spartan helmet. And we are running the Cloud Privateer, the skin that comes with the ship, which I think looks pretty good. But there's apparently a lot of y'all out there that are hating on these pirate camos, thinking they look terrible. Personally, they kind of remind me of the aesthetic of like, oh, what is that? What is that? God, I can't think of it. It's like a steampunk, but not really steampunk. What is that game? There's a Borderlands 2 like reference to the game, and I can't think of it. It's got the like guy that I think his name's Bubbles. That's in the like Mr. Bubbles. That's in the like diving thing. What the heck is this? What is that game? Ah! Y'all are going to roast me for it. Somebody's going to know the answer. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, moving on stats. 34,000 hit points. You have 0 health. 0. You get 1 Citadel from a New Jersey, you die from full health. Right? Basically. One Citadel can send you to the Shadow Realm from a New Jersey. Like, or Georgia that's a full damage build. Like, it's crazy. It's absurd. I don't know why they gave these ships so little hit points. Like, this is like 20k less than a Baltimore gets, to put that into perspective. And it doesn't have any armor. So we'll go over that in a minute too. But 7% torp reduction. It does have 203mm 50 caliber BL Mark 8s. These are very good guns. Don't get it twisted. These are nasty little guns. But again, they don't really shoot out to a long range. Even with this build, we've only got them out to 16.8 kilometers, and hitting anything that's moving and trying to adjust at that range is a lesson in futility, as we'll showcase in the match. But anyway, we do have the reload down to 9 seconds with this build, and of course that's going to get slightly better as you do damage during the match. 180-degree turn time is not great, but again, that's because we took the extra reload in the final slot. It is better than it looks, and it's still better than a lot of your like American heavy cruisers and stuff like that, so it's really not that bad. AP shell maximum damage is pretty solid. It's not too bad, but it's not great. 5390, not bad for a heavy cruiser. Secondary armament, you got 102mm 45 caliber QF Mark 19s. You get 12 of those, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers. They do actually do things, but it's mostly for show. But they reload in 3 seconds. They fire HE with maximum damage 1500 and a 6% chance to set fires. Torpedoes! You get 2 quad launchers, one on either side of the ship, 533mm QR Mark 4s. They reload in 96 seconds. They do 15,533 damage, which seems good at first, but then you factor in any sort of reduction on top of that, and suddenly they don't hit as hard as you'd like. But for 533mm torpedoes, these are actually pretty hard-hitting torps. Plus, they go all the way out to 10 kilometers, which is nice, but they're not the fastest things in the world. 62 knots, so be that what it is. It ain't the slowest torps, but it's not the fastest either. I'd say slightly below average. AA damage, not great. You have 20mm Oerlikon Mark 4s. You get 4 of those, doing 14 damage per second, reaching out to only 2 kilometers. Then you have the 20mm Oerlikon Mark 5s. You get 36 of those, doing 110 damage per second, so that's respectable. But again, it's only out to 2 kilometers. 40mm Vickers 2-pounder Mark 7s. You get 16 of those, doing 56 damage per second, so pretty solid there, reaching out to 2.5 kilometers. See the problem here? 40mm Vickers 2-pounder Mark 8s. You get 32 of those, doing 79 damage per second, but again, 2.5 kilometers of range. And then the 102mm 45 caliber QF Mark 19 dual-purpose secondaries. You get 12 of those, doing 56 damage per second, reaching out to 5 kilometers. So yeah, even if you were to buff the AA on this ship, try to get some range on them, like the most you're probably going to get the standoff AA, or like the majority of your AA is going to be like 3 kilometers, maybe 3.5. So they're on you dropping their bombs before you ever start shooting them, which is not ideal. Which is why I say defensive AA is probably pointless in this situation. Maneuverability, maximum speed of 30.9 knots, so pretty slow for a cruiser. Not ideal. Turning circle, also not very good, 710 meters. That is literally the exact same as any South Dakota class battleship, so keep that in mind. And the rudder shift time is, remember, we took rudder in our steering gears in slot 2, and it's still 7.8 seconds, so not ideal. It's not the most agile thing that you'll ever see in the world. It's not ideal. There's a lot of oopsies with this ship that I think send this thing to the Shadow Realm if you get caught. But either way, concealment is pretty good on this ship. Despite her size, despite all the downsides of this thing, she is decently indetectable, right? Her concealment's pretty good. 9.9 kilometers by sea, 6.4 by air. Guaranteed is always 2, and the smoke firing penalty is 6.6 kilometers, which is, ironically, I think the exact same as the other cruiser that came in, the other heavy cruiser that we did yesterday. But anyway, moving on. Stats are going to be terrible. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. 50% win rate. Shocker! Man, this sounds familiar. Played 4 games, won 2, lost 2. Stats are not great. 43% main gun accuracy. To put that into perspective, now, that's going to take a hit from this video that I'm going to show you guys, the game that I'm going to show you. It's going to hurt my gun accuracy. They're not actually as bad as they seem, but I was shooting at an agile ship that was running away, so it was difficult to hit. Torpedo accuracy is 16%, which seems pretty high, but that's because the people that I have torpedoed have been dumb enough to charge me, and that doesn't end well. Even I struggle to miss a 900-foot-long battleship as it comes around an island from point-blank range. I know, right? Even I can figure that one out. Who needs the white line? Anyway, damage to ships average is 65,000. It's pretty abysmal, but again, that doesn't reflect the ship itself. What it reflects is the way that I've been playing the ship extremely aggressively, trying to make an entertaining video for you guys, and always having like the perfect counter to me every single time I've taken this thing out. But again, we will showcase it in the match coming up. But her crap. God darn it. The XP, not great either. So, yeah, it's not ideal. Armor! You don't really have any armor. It looks like you might have a little bit, but trust me, you don't have any armor. It's all flat. This is that textbook freeboard British design. This literally looks like something that should have wood all over it. Let's be honest. It is abysmally designed when it comes to, shell penetrations. You are going to get pinned from everywhere. And just to make sure of it, you've got these torpedo tubes that are actually in a box, an armored box, which is nice. But that also opens up the idea that you're going to get catching rounds through those little boxes as well. So, yeah, just something to think about. Anyway, you have a 25mm bow. Nothing crazy there. Everything 15 inches and above over matches. Okay, get rid of that. Get rid of superstructure because nobody cares. Get rid of the armored deck. Okay, actually, armored deck is kind of weird on this one. So the casemate armor on this is what, 27 mil. So that's nice because that at least protects you from 15-inch shells. But again, it's so flat that they don't have to overmatch you. 15-inch guns are generally going to pin you unless you catch them at the perfect angle to ricochet them, right? But again, this flat armor doesn't do you any favors, okay? Just because it says it's 27 mil, don't trust it, right? Don't trust it. Now let's get rid of that 27 mil and look at the raised citadel and showcase a unique thing about this thing. The citadel starts behind the superstructure, or at the superstructure, but the part that's underneath the initial part of the superstructure is submerged. However, if you hit towards the smokestacks and back to the rear turret, if you hit anywhere in there, bon voyage. See you later, sunshine. You don't pass go, you don't collect $200. And trust, that will be a thing. Okay? So now that we got that out of the way, let's look. Surgical shells. A short shell fuse time results in lower chances of overpenetrations. Sequential. Torpedoes can be launched one by one, and flare for piercing, equipped with AP shells only. Elephant. With her vivid colors and ornate decorations, Elephant might seem like a welcoming haven on the high seas. They started a sentence with but. Bad. Somebody call the grammar police. But don't be deceived by her sleek appearance. I wouldn't call it a sleek appearance. Beneath the surface, she's as dangerous and unpredictable as her captain. Yeah, beneath her surface, she is dangerous. I agree. That Citadel is dangerous. Year of design 1827. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, this ship is dangerous if it gets the opportunity. But we'll showcase that coming up. Again, I like the overall aesthetic of the pirate ships. I like them. I know a lot of people are hating on them. But yeah, I kind of like them. So it is what it is. Either you like it, you don't like it. But I like them. And I just don't like the look of this ship in general. You know, that gigantic freeboard that just says, pin me, pin me, pin me, everywhere. And when you only have 34,000 hit points, not particularly preferable. So with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on mountain range in the Elephant. So, let's talk about what this ship is and what it is not. This ship is an ambush predator. Think of it as a swordfish, right? I had to mute the thing. There's some dude in the chat going clunk, 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 clunk. Anyway, think of it as a swordfish, right? Comes out of nowhere, smashes whatever it comes up against. That is how this thing works. And you guys will get to see that in full display in this match. Now, when you see the overall amount of damage we end up with, keep in mind that over half of the enemy team is destroyers. There's not a lot of hit points for me to take in this particular lobby. And I also want you to keep an eye on the battleship that spawns with me here. And also a fun fact about the destroyer that spawns with me, whose name you might recognize. And by recognize, I mean it's just funny that his name is Popeye Doyle and my name is David Doyle. Kind of funny. But I digress. Anyway, what I want you guys to pay attention is this is not an open water, sling it out, gunboat, try to dodge shells sort of boat. As we discussed, it is not particularly agile for a cruiser. It's not fast for a cruiser. So this is a cruiser that thrives off of getting to good positions, letting the enemy come to them, and then punishing the enemy for their oopsies. Right? That is what this ship is best at. Now, where this ship could do even better is in a division, where you have spotting, and potentially some sort of gunboat DD or other British cruiser that maybe has smoke screens. Because if this thing had a smoke screen, Lord have mercy, this thing would be a terror. And I'm not joking. If this thing had a smoke screen, it would be a terror. But it doesn't, and it has no hit points, so it's not a terror. It is simply a, come and get me, I will punish you for it, and when I survive that, I have to then try to, work out my next attack, right? That is what this ship is. And I've kind of played it as such, or at least maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if you think that I'm wrong, if you think that this is an open water gunboaty kind of cruiser, and you want to play it like a little light cruiser that's dancing around, shooting its guns, please, by all means, upload a video of you playing it that way, and I want to see just how effective it is. Because, honestly, when I think of getting shot at in this thing, I cringe. Which is why I immediately, of course, see a Missouri and a Baltimore. Two things that perfectly counter us. Now, we knew the destroyer was there, right? But this is the importance of freaking spotting, man. And it drives me bonkers that the people that spawn next to me refuse to spot. They don't do their job. They find the nearest island, they tuck in behind it, and they sit. Because we can actually mitigate a lot of damage. And we can pump out an absolute beatdown in this ship, right? But, as we dance between the torpedoes of the widespread Asashio, we now have to fight a Baltimore. Now, this is not an ideal scenario. Both of us are very, very nasty armor-piercing heavy cruisers. He, of course, has the ability to shoot HE, which is good for me because he's actually, well, that was AP, I think, but he's actually using it. Now, our destroyer does manage to kill their destroyer, which he ought to. I mean, I took 2/3 of the health off of an Asashio, and it's a Schönberg. You'd think he'd be able to kill him, as I get smacked through the bow by the Missouri. Now, I want you to keep an eye on this Missouri. He's falling into the trap. This is the... You have to fish for people with this thing. I know, it's a pirate ship, right? Not a fisherman, or not a fishing vessel, but it is. This is a fishing. You've got to bait people to come at you. So I'm going to keep my guns on the right side, waiting for an opportunity to potentially shoot the Baltimore. Our destroyer's on the back side of an island. He's currently radared. I'm radared by the Baltimore. We have a Massachusetts sitting back there that perfectly counters the Baltimore, right? Like, that Baltimore should be toast. And look, he's lost a good chunk of his health. But I want you guys to pay attention as we size up the Missouri here. I know that if I just don't look at the Missouri, he is going to fall for the bait. And as I go around the island here, he's thinking, okay, now's my chance to go forward. Well, these torpedoes have fantastic firing angles and are located pretty far back on the ship. Meaning that we can get away with launching these torpedoes. Now, the first one unfortunately hits the island, and that is real bad news for me, because watch his health. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Of course, we leave him with just enough to get away, but watch the AP here. Don't sleep on this ship, battleship captains. That's right. This heavy cruiser just dev-struck the Missouri, and it wasn't all torpedoes. We double citadeled him to send him to the Shadow Realm. Right? You can't fall for the bait. Now, this is where I say that this is one of those things where you fight, you get into position, you bait the enemy to come at you, you kill the enemy that is dumb enough to come after you, and then if you survive the engagement, because you know you're going to kill the person, if you survive, which doesn't happen all that often, but if you do, then you have a good opportunity to be able to set up the same thing again. And that's what you want to look for. Because as I'm about to showcase here, as we move into the cap to help get the cap, we are down on points, but it isn't all hope is lost just yet. But it is getting there. Our Atlantico goes down to a Picardy, which is absurd to me. Like, I know the Picardy is a funny little meme ship, but how do you die in an Atlantico to a Picardy? Really? I'm sorry, but somebody needs to submit their Atlantico for questioning. But we're taking some shots, and again, this is inexperience with the ship. We're up against the Azure Lane Baltimore. The perk of the Azure Lane Baltimore is that it is a more maneuverable Baltimore. So trying to hit this thing at range is going to prove to be a problem. And when I don't have like improved penetration angles like I would if I was running Von Essen as an inspiration, we're going to get a lot of shells that simply hit places and ricochet rather than just finishing the guy off. Now again, we do have a Massachusetts that overmatches him and should be able to take him out, but unfortunately that's just not seeming to be the case, and I am not able to hit him. We go ahead and use our little spotter plane to try to get some shots on target here, and you can see he's dancing around, he's trying to dodge, and I'm putting the shots out there, but it just takes so long for these to get on target, and then when they do, they're not doing enough damage. I'm overpinning and doing like 0 damage, which is really unfortunate. But as we're trying to push the Baltimore out of the way, our destroyers are in the Bravo cap. There are 2 destroyers in the Bravo cap, and they are going to encounter a destroyer and then immediately run away. There are 3 destroyers within 1 grid square of each other, and yet they're all getting their butts kicked by a single destroyer. So we don't chase kites, right, boys? We pushed him away. Now it's time for us to put ourselves in a position to end this red team's push, right? Like, we got to try to get to the cap, try to help that, because our team has just completely fallen apart. Down goes our Akatsuki, our Benson is low health, and our Schönberg hasn't proven to be all that useful. So we can't rely on anybody, and we know Massachusetts hasn't even gotten really into a gunfight at any point during this match, so can't really rely on him either. As we continue to try to get the shells out to hit this Baltimore, he's just going to dodge, and so we have to break off from chasing the Baltimore away and go set up ourselves to counter the enemy push. Now, I was hoping the Picardy, or whatever it's called, would charge into the cap and come towards me. Because again, this is where we set up that little thing where, you know, this is an ambush predator, right? So we're using our good concealment to get it nice and close, put ourselves in a good position. You can see Picardy is in fact coming into the cap, and I am salivating at this point as our destroyer then charges out after the radar cruiser. We do catch the radar cruiser coming around in the corner here, so we're going to go ahead and take a shot at him. I can't really watch to see where those shells land because I'm going to try to measure up the Picardy for a torp strike. And we didn't quite lead him enough. One shell pins for like 500 and that's it. And this is my problem with trying to get rid of this freaking Baltimore. Like, I just can't land enough shells to finish the little turret off. Right? He just keeps getting away. Now, Picardy should absolutely get punished here. But unfortunately, our Massachusetts decides that he needs to turn and run away. Right? Now, as I push into this cap, the Picardy makes the decision he also needs to turn and run away, which is preferable for me because it gives me an opportunity to go after the destroyers. But unfortunately, none of our destroyers are willing to do anything. They're just sitting around hoping that something magic happens. Like, that's what they're hoping for. And so I have to be that magic. As crazy as it sounds, in the ship that has no hit points, I have to be that magic, as we lose our Benson because he chose to charge after the radar cruiser and puts himself in a perfect position to be countered by everybody that's left on the left side of the enemy team. Not ideal. But Caprice gets himself spotted. We're going to go ahead and take advantage of that because this thing is very nasty. There ain't a whole lot this guy can do other than just try to not get hit by me too much, but as we do hit him, you can see that we are doing quite a bit of damage. Now, we know he's torping us. We're not stupid, right? Like, so we slow down. We start turning towards the threat. We're able to get nice and skinny, keep ourselves light, and, of course, the Akatsuki torpedoes my freaking Schoenberg. Speaking of Akatsuki, he now shows himself, but as soon as I look at him, he starts going forward, so we're not able to land a significant amount of damage on him either. Now, some of you may be paying attention that not only is the Picardy trying to flank us, but we're also being set up for a Schoenberg coming around from the left side. We're going to go ahead and drop the torps on the Schoenberg, try to hit the Caprice over here, and we know that the Schoenberg is going to try to torpedo us, but I'm hoping that I'm able to finish off this Caprice quickly, and we're just not. Like, we're leaving him with just enough every single time to get away. And we know that torpedoes are likely coming. We take a shot into the smoke, hoping to finish him off. We do finish off the Caprice. We are going to unfortunately take a torp on the belt. We are trying to bow tank the Baltimore in the process, but this is leaving us open for the Schoenberg here to be able to APR broadside. Again, I am doing everything in my power to give my team the best possible chance to win, and unfortunately, it is just never meant to be with these little cruisers. This is why I play battleships, because I can take so much more punishment during a match. Whereas with these cruisers, like, I can't trade the way I need to give my team as good of a chance to win. And you can see I'm like, dude, why is the Massachusetts going around the backside of this island? Why? If that Massachusetts follows me towards the middle, not only do we kill the Caprice much quicker, we kill the Schoenberg, we kill the Akatsuki most likely, because the Akatsuki was right there as well, and then the game is in hand, because I can finish off, like, it's frustrating. The way people play this game is frustrating. You have all the hit points in the world in your top tier battleship, and you have spent the entire game at the back, spamming chat, saying, hey, get back, get back. Like, if you're going to try to tell me how to play my ship, at least know how to play yours, is all I'm saying. And as the Massachusetts, it is an incredible brawling battleship. And it should not be sitting at the back of the map. Period. Like, it is a brawler. But, yeah, this guy's going to come out here, and it's going to look like he does a lot, right? Like, he comes in, he finishes off the Picardy, who's low health. He's got the Baltimore now. He's going to give his full broadside to the Baltimore, who's going to just absolutely chew him up. The Schoenberg is also sitting over there shooting at him. And he's going to get these kills real quick, which is just going to reiterate exactly what I was saying when I mentioned, like, if he just follows me instead of going away to the back of the map, if he follows me forward, this match could have ended very differently. But unfortunately, he does not. But the game's not over. Like, you can see the Akatsuki behind him is shooting at him. The enemy Skånberg is right in front of him. All he has to do is land 1 or 2 good hits on the Skånberg and he goes down. But, well, we've already seen this guy's gunnery isn't the greatest. As the Skånberg opens fire from 8 kilometers, 7.5 kilometers, he takes the shot and doesn't lead the target. Auto aim, I'll let you guys be the judge. Now again, not hating the player, right? We're just simply pointing out the mistakes, right? I do this for everybody. I do it for myself. I do it for everybody, right? Some people are going to say that maybe I was too aggressive. I don't think I was, because I had to try to be aggressive because our entire team was dead and I was the only one that was capable of influencing the match to try to give us that miracle that the team actually needed. Right? Because clearly the Massachusetts wasn't up to the task. None of our destroyers were doing anything. It was up to me to try to make something happen. But well done to the Schoenberg on the enemy team for picking up his quacking. But we did everything in our power, right? And it's going to be reflected. 108,000 damage, Confederate, Dev Strike, high caliber, top of the leaderboard, 2,000 base XP and a loss. Like, I can only do so much. I need some help, right? But yeah, unfortunately that was not coming. And if you look at the enemy team, the top 2 players were destroyers, and both of them, between the 2 of them, had 7 kills between the 2 of them. That is the difference in the game. You got 5 destroyers per team, and 2 of them on the enemy team knew what they were doing, and none of them on our team did. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you like the ship? Do you not like the ship? As a solo player, I find the ship kind of difficult to play with, just simply due to the fact that, like, you just don't get enough help. And it does, with the short amount of hit points that you do have, it does struggle to carry in those critical moments. But yeah, I'm open to hearing your guys' point of view. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.